She was hated for being born with two heads. The secret behind it shocked all. Who'd undo what birth had given? But Aga-Oyo never forgets. By age 5, Namboka had already learned to walk through the village without meeting eyes. Her steps were quiet, her hands always folded. But Tayari would sometimes whisper, not loud enough for others to hear, just a hum in Namboka's left ear. "Why do they look at us like that?" Tayari would ask. "Why do they pretend we don't speak?" "They're scared," Namboka would reply in thought, "so we must make them feel safe." "And what about us?" Tayari would press. "Who makes us safe?" One morning, on the day of dust, Namboka stood at the edge of the village square, watching the drummers rehearse for the annual cleansing ritual. She clutched a gourd of water, waiting for her turn to offer it to the spirits. Children stared. A few mimicked her in cruel jest, bobbing their heads side to side. "She has 2 heads," one boy yelled. "Double the bad luck." Zelina, now a respected matron of the council, walked past and spat at the ground near Namboka's feet. "That child should never have survived the womb," she said loud enough for all to hear. "She carries what should have died." Namboka said nothing. She turned, steady, and walked home. That night, Tayari spoke again, clearer, older somehow. "They hate us." "They don't understand us," Namboka whispered back. "They don't want to." Outside, the wind shifted. Far off in the eastern part of the village, a hut caught fire. The flames climbed the thatch as screams erupted into the night. Villagers ran with pails, but by the time the blaze died down, 3 homes were ash. The next morning, elders gathered in the square. "It is the girl," said Makandu, the chief elder, his voice heavy with resignation. "A spirit born with 2 faces. The balance has been broken." "But she is still a child," another said. "A child who has done no harm." Zelina rose. "A child, yes, but not of this world." The whispers grew, and though no one dared say it aloud, one thought echoed through them all. She must go. Back in her mother's hut, Namboka sat with her back to the door. Her mother combed her hair gently, weaving gold thread through her braids. Tayari's face was still. "They're planning something," Tayari said, quiet but sure. "I know," Namboka replied. "What will we do?" Her mother answered for them both. "You will survive." Outside, the blood moon rose again, unexpected, out of season, and the fire came back. The flames didn't stop. They danced from hut to hut like guided shadows. There was no fallen lantern, no lightning storm. And yet, by dawn, 4 homes were ash. Ayozi stood at her door, clutching her shawl. The villagers no longer whispered. They watched. Her hut, her daughter's second face. Inside, Namboka sat on the floor, quietly threading beads. But Tayari was restless. "They blame us," she whispered. "They want to see us burn next." Namboka didn't answer. She knew. Later, Ayozi handed her a woven basket. "Go," she said gently. "Gather bitter leaf from the hill. Stay to the path." The walk was quiet. Wind stirred dry leaves. Tayari's voice hummed in her ear. "Someone follows," she said. "I don't see anyone." "That's what makes it worse." Near the hill, Namboka bent to pluck leaves until a branch snapped behind her. She turned. Standing in the trees was Oba-Yimika, the blind elder no one had seen in years. His milky eyes stared at nothing, yet his face was turned directly toward hers. "Namboka," he said, "you carry 2 shadows." She froze. "They say I carry a curse." "No, you carry a legacy." She stepped back. "A legacy?" "Once, our people were protected by the twin-voiced ones. One saw the world, one saw the beyond. Your second face is not a deformity." Tayari stirred. "Ask him who I am." "Who is she?" Namboka asked. Oba-Yimika's voice lowered. "She is the one who came before, the one who was betrayed." Then he vanished into the brush. That night, Namboka told her mother what happened. Ayozi said nothing. She walked to a jar near the hearth, and removed a carved totem. Two faces carved back to back, blackened by ash. I prayed you'd never need this, she said softly, but if Tayari has returned, the curse is waking too. Namboka stared. You knew? Ayozi nodded, her eyes misted. I didn't know which ancestor would come back with you, only that she would be powerful. Then Tayari spoke, not just in Namboka's head, but through her lips. You knew me once. Ayozi flinched, and for the first time she looked directly at Tayari. By morning, the sky over Aga-Oyo wore a veil of smoke. The fires had spared no family, not even the house of Chief Elder Makandu, whose roof had collapsed in the night. But only one name passed through every mouth like bitter cola, Namboka. She walks with fire at her heels, someone muttered at the village well. The gods are angry, another said, and she is the cause. Ayozi kept her daughter inside, but whispers do not need walls to travel. Even inside, Namboka heard them. Tayari heard them too, but she wasn't afraid. Let them fear, Tayari said. They've earned it. I don't want to be feared, Namboka whispered. I want to be left alone. You can't be, not anymore. The fire is only beginning. That night, during the gathering at the village square, Makandu addressed the people beneath the sacred tree. This is no ordinary season. The fire is not wind, it is spirit, and it demands something in return. Zelina stood beside him. It demands a sacrifice. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and then Zelina's voice rose again, slicing the dusk like a knife. It demands her! The villagers turned. Ayozi appeared at the edge of the crowd, clutching Namboka's arm. No, she said. She is only a child. She is not just a child, Zelina snapped. She is the twin-faced one. The books of ash told us this would come. Look around you. Have we not already suffered enough? Namboka stepped forward, slowly, her head bowed, one face downcast, the other burning with fury. Tayari's eyes scanned the crowd. We did not start the fire, she said through Namboka's lips. But we will finish it. Gasps followed. Makandu stepped back. What? Was that voice? I told you, Zelina whispered. She carries another. Ayozi pulled Namboka back. Enough, she said. You will not have her. That night, their home was surrounded, not with fire, but with silence, with eyes, with stones clutched in fists. The village had made its choice. Namboka lay awake, Tayari whispering in her thoughts. You felt it too, didn't you? Tayari said. The air before the blaze, the tremble in the ground. It's not just us. Something darker is here. Namboka turned toward the small window, where smoke still rose from the trees. I don't want to be part of any prophecy, she whispered. I just want to live. Then we must survive, and survival may no longer mean hiding. In the distance, another roof caught fire. But this time, Namboka didn't flinch. At dawn, the village was silent, not peaceful, but heavy, as if the land itself held its breath. Namboka rose before the sun. Tayari had not slept, neither had she. Today, Tayari said, we stop running. They left the hut without a word. Ayozi did not stir. Perhaps she knew where her daughter was going, or perhaps she feared following would change everything. They walked deep into the forest, past the dried creek and the termite trees, past where the hunting trails ended, deeper still, until the air itself grew strange, cooler yet sharper. They came to the echo tree. It was massive, ancient. Its roots coiled around earth and stone like snakes asleep. No birds sang in its branches, no leaves grew, and yet its bark glistened faintly in the light. Some said this was the mouth of the spirit world. Others said it was where ancestors were buried upright so they could listen. Tayari knew the truth. This is where it happened, she said aloud. Where they bound me. Namboka touched the bark. What do you mean? Tayari's voice grew cold. Centuries ago, I was a voice of protection. A girl like you, like us, was born with two spirits. But when fear took root, They cut me from her. They cursed my memory, burned my name, and buried my soul beneath this tree. Namboka stepped back, heart pounding. You were banished? Betrayed. Tayari's words vibrated through her bones now, and every generation since has suffered. Every fire, every death, every madness, this village is cursed by its own denial. Suddenly the tree pulsed beneath her palm, faint but real. Light shimmered from its cracks. You can finish what they started, Tayari said, or you can fix it. How? You must enter. Before Namboka could speak, the bark of the tree split open, silently, like a mouth parting in breath. Behind it, a dark hollow. No one has ever come out of that alive, Namboka whispered. That's because no one belonged in both worlds, Tayari said. But we do. She stepped forward. The bark accepted her. Inside was not darkness, but memory. Visions swirled, faces, past twins, women with mirrored eyes, fire bursting from their hands, laughter echoing between two mouths. Then blood, a blade, screams, a face twisted with betrayal. Zelina, but younger. Namboka fell to her knees. Tayari's voice thundered in her ears. This is our truth, and they buried it to save themselves. When she awoke, hours had passed. The tree had closed. But on her skin were glowing marks, curling around her wrists, her throat, and her forehead. Not scars, not burns, symbols of power. She was no longer only Namboka. She was no longer afraid. And Tayari was no longer just a voice. She was rising. By nightfall, word had spread. Namboka had been seen near the echo tree. Zelina's fury returned like a storm. She called a council of the eldest women, those who had once trained as midwives, dream readers, fire keepers. This is how it begins, Zelina hissed, pacing beneath the sacred hut. The girl has been claimed. The symbols are upon her. If we wait, we will lose everything. She is still a child, one woman said weakly. No, Zelina snapped. She is the mouth of the old spirit, the one we severed generations ago. We made a pact to bury it. We must honor that pact. They remembered it then, the last girl with two voices, the last one who carried Tayari. They remembered how they ended her. That night, the women moved like ghosts, cloaked, silent, bearing fire in clay pots and salted blades in their belts. Ayozi woke to footsteps. She knew instantly. She didn't scream. She ran. Outside, the women approached, chanting low, their song echoing off the clay walls. From ash you rose, to ash return. Ayozi burst from the doorway, shielding Namboka with her body. No! Zelina stepped forward. Move aside. You will not touch her. She has brought fire. She walks with it. She is it. Then let her burn me first. The flames in their pots flared. And then Tayari spoke through Namboka's lips. You sealed me once, but I came through blood, through the womb of your own sister. Do you not recognize me, Zelina? Zelina froze. Her eyes widened. You died. I was reborn through the very woman you betrayed. Zelina's hand trembled, but her resolve returned. Then we'll bury you again. She raised the blade. Ayozi moved. There was a flash of light. Then silence. When the smoke cleared, Ayozi lay crumpled, her chest still. Namboka fell to her knees, screaming. One voice split into two. Tayari's grief was louder than fire. Zelina and the others fled, their courage crumbling. That night, the fires didn't come. But something else did. The earth began to hum. The echo tree glowed in the distance. And Namboka rose, no longer a child, but something ancient, something returning. Namboka walked barefoot. Down the path beyond the cassava fields, past the graves marked with stone, toward the heart of the forest, where no path dared continue. The symbols on her skin pulsed like fire beneath her flesh, responding to a rhythm only she could hear. Tayari was quiet now, not gone, but still, waiting. The echo tree welcomed her again, but this time the bark did not open. Namboka knelt, pressing both hands to the roots. I am ready, she whispered. Show me what I must see. The tree trembled. A single leaf fell and burned before it touched the ground. Then the world shifted. She was standing in a different place, yet still herself. The forest gone. The sky overhead stretched wide and endless, filled with stars that pulsed like drumbeats. All around her were voices, not speaking but chanting, familiar, forgotten. Before her stood Tayari, fully formed, no longer a second face, but a mirrored twin. Her hair was braided in gold, her eyes like coal and flame. She wore a dress of spirit cloth woven from night itself. You've come, Tayari said. I don't want to fight you, Namboka said. You don't have to, but I don't want to lose myself either. Tayari stepped closer. Then we must do what was never done. Become one. Namboka's voice cracked. What if I'm not strong enough? You are, Tayari said. You always were. You carried me when no one else could. The stars brightened, forming a circle around them. This is the trial, Tayari said. To merge is to remember. To remember is to feel everything, even the pain. A wind rose, but it came from within. The trial wasn't a battle, it was a surrender, a merging of past and present, of anger and forgiveness, of grief and strength. Namboka reached out, Tayari took her hand, and the world exploded in light. She screamed, not in pain, but in release. The curses, the whispers, the centuries of buried memory, they poured into her, through her, became her. When the light faded, only one girl stood beneath the stars. But her eyes held two souls, and behind her, the echo tree burned white. When Namboka returned to Aga-Oyo, the sky had changed. It was neither day nor night. A strange twilight bathed the village in silver and shadow. People gathered silently as she walked barefoot across the square, her skin glowing faintly, her gaze steady. But they did not see just her. They saw Tayari too, not beside her, not behind her, but within. In her posture, her fire, the way her voice carried like an echo made of two winds. The elders fell to their knees. She has become the vessel. She carries the ancient one. Chief Makandu stepped forward, trembling. You've crossed the veil? I've crossed myself, she replied. The villagers parted as she walked toward the sacred baobab. Zelina stood beneath it, blood on her hands, fear in her eyes. You shouldn't be here, she said. I never left, Namboka replied. You tried to kill something you didn't understand. You repeated the same mistake your ancestors made. Fear disguised as tradition. Zelina's voice cracked. I only wanted to protect us. You protected a lie. The wind rose, leaves spiraled upward. The curse was never mine, Namboka said. It was yours. Your betrayal of the twin spirit brought the fire. Your silence fed it. Zelina fell to her knees. Then end it. End me. Namboka looked to the sky. Tayari's voice echoed inside her. Quiet now, not angry. You could, Tayari said, but then you would become what they feared. Namboka raised her hand. The wind stopped. She turned to the villagers. This ends not with fire, but with memory. She walked to the center of the square and drew a circle in the dirt, an ancient glyph only she now remembered. It glowed, and with it the air cleared. The tension broke, the spirits receded. Peace fell like rain. Zelina sobbed. Makandu bowed his head. Children stepped forward, not in fear, but in awe. Namboka stood alone, but not alone. She was one soul now, forged by two. And Aga-Oyo would never forget her name again. The moon rose blood red, just as it had the night she was born. But this time, the villagers did not look away. They gathered beneath the open sky, the fires extinguished, the air still. From the high ridge above Aga-Oyo, Namboka stood in ceremonial cloth, the twin-faced totem in her hand, not hidden, not bound, fully seen. Below her, silence held. I was born with two heads, she called out, but you gave me 1,000 names. demon, omen, curse. She lifted the totem. This is the truth you buried, and it is the truth that has burned you. Tayari stirred within her, not as a whisper, but a companion. We were never meant to be feared, she said, speaking aloud through Namboka's lips. We were meant to guide. The earth trembled gently. The echo tree in the distance burst into silent flame, not destructive, but luminous, a signal to the spirit world that the cycle had finally closed. Namboka raised the totem and placed it into the soil at her feet. The curse ends here, she said. As it touched the earth, the ground pulsed. A heartbeat returned. The village exhaled. Crops would grow again. The fires would stop. The sickness would fade. From the crowd, children stepped forward. One little girl approached Namboka and asked, "Will I dream like you do?" Namboka smiled. "Only if you listen with both sides of your soul." The villagers bowed, not out of fear, but reverence. Namboka turned, her form glowing in the crimson light. Behind her, Tayari's shape flickered like a spirit stepping through shadow, then faded into her once more. One girl, one soul, one story. And from that day, they stopped calling her cursed. They called her she who returned the fire to the sky. And no one ever forgot the girl who was hated for being born with two heads, but became the guardian who saved them all. Now tell me, if you were born carrying a power the world feared, would you hide it or would you let it burn? Like, share and follow for more stories they tried to bury, until someone dared to speak them out loud.